Hello to everyone watching this video. This is the first of hopefully many on this channel, so thanks for watching and I hope you enjoy it. Don't forget to subscribe. Yeah, it's 2024, and in a not so happy turn of events, it's meant that for 2 years, a particular movie by the name of Scott Pilgrim vs. the World has been banished into the bottomless pit that is my watch list. Fortunately for it, I had a premonition, one that had my spidey senses tingling like jingle bells at 11:59 p.m. of every 26th of November. I still had Netflix. I was $20 short and in turn one Netflix subscription tall. And look, at the time I found Netflix kinda boring, but I had no choice because burning through $20 in this day and age ain't easy. So hop onto Netflix I did. And then behold, first thing I see is Scott Pilgrim leaving Netflix at the end of the month, and hey, what would he hurt watching something on my watch list? Now, it's going to be 14 years to the day, I guess, of the release of Pilgrim way back in 2010. And my initial reaction as a first time watcher, I'd have to say it holds up quite well. And a very much modern 2020s film, if you were to ask me. We'll touch a little more on that later, but an entertaining and enthralling ride from start to finish. But without any further ado, let's get into it. For those of you new to the tall tale of Best Boy Scott, this is a by the books coming of age story to you in a movie plus a series of books by Brian Lee O'Malley that explores Scott's life in the magical city of Toronto, trying to overcome his latest heartbreak. What do you think this is? A romantic melodrama? This is Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, and it means better the bands. Arcade fights. Fighting 7 evil exes. Dating a high schooler. No! Oh, we're not doing that? Cool. So, starting off with the characters here, there's something special to be said about making your world lived in, with the people lively by doing the best possible depending on whatever medium constraints, such as time, that can't be helped. And with some unique characters that would be obviously given deeper depth and development in the books, or had the movie been a series, they get plenty of time to shine, whether be it in small moments or as major plot drivers. His bandmates Kim, Neil, and Steven are able to stand out without even ever stepping out of their assigned setting as band members. His sister Julie and roommate Wallace play the role of Scott's metaphorical conscience, which, fair to say, they are brilliant in, as he tries to run away from his shortcomings and tribulations when he finds himself in a questionable phase at best. They are the anchor that keeps his compass straight when he finds himself at odds with 7 evil exes in the chase for the one person that can perhaps help him find an inner peace. And that girl? Ramona Flowers, known far and wide for her cold demeanor, striking colored hair, and 7 evil ex-boyfriends.
7 evil exes.
If there was one gripe to be had with the movie, it would be Ramona, unfortunately. I like the idea of Ramona Flowers, but in the movie, I don't think she, as I alluded to before, gets the depth as, say, she may have had in the books, and it's a bit of a shame that, of all the characters, she got the short end of the stick. The characters here are great, but that's not least to say the story isn't top notch. People feel things, and that's not to say anyone is ever right or wrong, but it's important to acknowledge how we make others feel just as much as we do. Or you might find yourself with 7 evil ex-boyfriends
7 evil exes.
ready to pounce at the sight of you finding happiness. Now, On the superficial things beyond the on-screen narrative, if you haven't noticed yet, this movie has a renowned aesthetic and style with so much ingenuity and nuance that's often attributed to the most acclaimed directors of our time. So all the credit to Edgar Wright for the life he gives to not only the characters but the narrative as a whole. Overall, Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, as it was written, doesn't need to be called a Dungeons and Dragons or Ready Player One to dip its toes into the quirks and aesthetics that define those films and or genres, and that makes it all the more interesting to me. So, obviously, one of the things that gets talked about the most in regards to this movie is the amount of talent in this, and it's insane. Guys like Michael Cera, Chris Evans, Brie Larson, Jason Schwartzman, Brandon Ruth, Anna Kendrick, all notable names that I've more or less grown up seeing and seen grow in eminence and prominence throughout their careers. And least to say, credit to everyone, as nobody really felt miscast or out of place. Final note. Earlier on, I touched on the point of Scott Pilgrim being a 2020s film, and I say that because while doing some research on the movie, I discovered the disparaging truth that shook me a little, not gonna lie. This movie was a massive box office bomb. On a budget of 85 million, it ended up grossing a whopping 47 million at the box office, which usually means a nail in the coffin for any franchise, let alone an unproven and up and coming IP. This is what actor Mary Elizabeth Winstead had to say about it. For whatever reason, it didn't connect at the box office because it was too weird and unique and unlike anything else. People didn't know what to make of it. Now, in the times that we live in, successful original movies have become something you get a dime a dozen because of how much the movie industry has leaned towards and become oversaturated with cinematic universes, sequels, reboots, and remakes. A sense of right movie, wrong time for such a distinctive and innovative wild swing of the bat that perhaps got its just dues long after the fact with the release of an alternate reality sequel show. Don't ask me what that means, in November of 2023 on Netflix. Although misunderstood and overlooked in its time, Scott Pilgrim vs. the World held a lasting impact within the genre of coming of age movies and the cult following it has garnered years after its release. All in all, I do believe this is a brilliant film in more ways than one, and regardless of any box office numbers, I'm glad that an audience found its way to it, and also to find that it meant so much to a fair amount of people, which is never something to take for granted. I like this movie, I really did. Perhaps it's a bit of nostalgia for a hidden gem from a bygone era, but for me, Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, boss level, complete. On a final note, thanks again for watching the video, like, subscribe, see you on the next level.
Have any Alexis?